Welcome to the Bible in 1 Year with Melissa Sykes. I want to take a few minutes to do just a simple teaching on the devil, Satan, our adversary, who is in this book as we read Job's story and understand the interaction between God and Satan. And so we saw Satan enter in the garden as a serpent, and he causes Adam and Eve to fall into sin. And now in the book of Job, we have him interacting with God, and God giving Satan permission to go and test Job. Obviously, Job was not a part of this heavenly conversation, and so he does not fully understand why he is suffering so much. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit about the devil in the book of Job. The Bible gives us limited information about the devil. In the creation era, Satan reveals himself as the serpent who tempts Adam and Eve to question God's word, reject God's authority, and find joy apart from God's presence. According to Genesis chapter 3 and Revelation 12:9 explicitly identifies the serpent as Satan. In the kingdom era, Satan tempts David to number Israel. 1 Chronicles chapter 21 verse 1. In the return era, the prophet Zechariah sees Satan opposing the high priest Joshua before the Lord. Zechariah chapter 3 verses 1 through 2. The Old Testament book that gives us the most information about the devil, however, is the book of Job. Situated within the patriarch era, Job gives us insights into the devil's character, purposes, tactics, and goals. The early chapters of Job flesh out a basic understanding of Satan. By paying careful attention, we can learn much about Satan's identity and activities. Satan is an adversary. The word Satan means adversary in Hebrew. Satan is an adversary to God, one who comes to confront God. He accuses God of buying Job's love, according to Job chapter 1, verses 9 through 10, with his blessings and his protection. Satan is also an adversary to people who are the image bearers of God, and he seeks to inflict harm on those who, like Job, serve God. Prior to his conversation with God, Satan was scouting out the happenings on earth, including Job's prosperity. Peter tells us that Satan is like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. That's according to 1 Peter chapter 5 verse 8, perhaps drawing his wording from Satan's own words in Job chapter 1 verse 7 and Job chapter 2 verse 2. Satan enters heaven's court only to accuse and then leaves at the earliest opportunity. He also imputes to humans his own evil motives, according to Job chapter 1 verse 9 and Job chapter 2 verse 4, just as his followers do today. Satan uses various means. Both human minions and natural forces can sometimes do Satan's bidding. He sends men, the Sabians and the Chaldeans, to steal and to kill, according to Job chapter 1 verses 15 and 17, and he employs lightning and wind to destroy, according to Job chapter 1 verses 16 and 19. He uses sickness to inflict pain on Job with the goal of having him curse God, according to Job chapter 2 verse 7. He also uses timing. He orchestrates one disaster right on the heels of another to inundate Job with calamities and overwhelm him with grief. 3 times the text says, while he was still speaking, a messenger arrived with the news, according to Job chapter 1 verses 16 through 18. Satan uses the means that God created so that he can do his evil work while he lets God take the blame, and God sometimes allows it to see if his people will truly trust him even in their calamity and pain. Satan has goals. Satan's goals are consistent. He wants to steal, kill, and destroy. He steals Job's livestock, according to Job chapter 1, verses 14 through 15 and verse 17. He kills Job's sheep, servants, and children. Job chapter 1, verses 15 through 16 and 19. He destroys the home of Job's son as well as Job's health. Job chapter 1, verse 19 and chapter 2, verse 7. He seems to delight in inflicting pain. It is no wonder that Jesus says the thief's purpose is to steal and kill and destroy, according to John chapter 10, verse 10. His ultimate goal is that God's servants curse God and reject him. Yet, as the story of Job progresses and his situation deteriorates, the refrain that emerges is, in all of this, Job did not sin by blaming God, according to Job chapter 1, verse 22. See also chapter 2, verse 10. Satan has limits. I want to say that again. Satan has limits. He is a limited spiritual being. His limits appear in the story of Job. He cannot touch Job without God's permission. God's protection must be lifted, which Job clearly does not discern, according to Job chapter 3, verse 23. He cannot go beyond what God permits. And when his time of testing ends, God restored Job's fortunes. And we'll get to that in Job chapter 42, verse 10. At every point of Satan's attack, God has to grant permission to allow the evil that the enemy will inflict. God, in his infinite wisdom, permits Job's temporary sufferings because he would eclipse that misery with future joy and make Job a testimony of grace. Satan's efforts backfire and actually accomplish God's purposes. Satan's attacks against Job prove futile as Job becomes an example of faith, according to James chapter 5, verse 11, and a type, figure, or pattern of Christ with regard to suffering. Job suffers the loss of riches. Jesus gives up heaven to endure the cross, according to 2 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 9. Job is shamed by his friends. Jesus has his honor taken by sinful people, according to Hebrews chapter 12, verses 2 through 3. Job experiences sicknesses. Christ's health is stripped away at the cross. Job temporarily loses hope. Christ feels alone as he suffers in the place of sinners, according to Matthew chapter 27, verse 46. Job loses his joy until God restores it. Jesus accepts temporal shame for future joy, according to Hebrews chapter 12, verses 2 through 3. Job endures attacks from the devil and is rescued. Christ suffers death at Satan's hand but experiences resurrection. In his suffering, Job points us to Jesus, the one who suffered for our sake.